If you're looking to developing some of your 3D skills inside Affinity, this might be a good start. So just to show you this is a photo frame, and you have different levels of realism that you can create with it. I've just put this together so that you could see the possibility. So this is in Affinity Designer, just using the 3D effects tool. Okay, there's a texture in here, and I mean this background texture is massive, but if I size it down here, you'll see that the wood texture over here changes. You can see there's lovely wood texture at the bottom here. The side texture could be much better, but that's the choice of your actual picture that you're putting in there. But this is what we're moving towards, is to create a picture frame like this. Now, without having the effect on, if I have to disable the effect, this is what it will look like. So it's just a straight piece of wood, and this is with the 3D effect. Isn't that cool? So I'm going to walk you through a tutorial to do this, and you can apply it in a lot of areas. I'm going to be showing you to make a wooden frame for a photo, and one also that's a circular frame with a photo at the end. But you can use it for multiple stuff. The concept is, when you're dealing with anything that relates to 3D, it's got to do with light on one side and a shadow on the other. And with Affinity Designer, it's got some beautiful other features like specular, shininess, etc., which we'll also just briefly go through. Okay, so let's get into it. So this is a blank canvas. You have an option of doing this with a shape like a rectangular shape. And if I had to use this, I would do the effects on here, or I could just do it directly on an image, and then the effect will be on the image. If I do it on an object like this and I add the 3D effect, I can then drop in any image in there, and it will take on the effects that we've set up. But I think a simpler way to start off with would just be to take an existing image. So let me delete that. I'm going to place a wooden object, and this is the same piece of wood I used on the previous diagram, our previous design thing. So I'm going to add a wooden frame around this here. So let me just explain. Is this thing totally square? I don't think so. Let me just make sure. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to do that, and maybe what I will do is I'll do a circular one like this. And then what we build in here, we'll just adopt to this. This is a vector on this side, and this is a pixel image. Okay, we are currently in the designer persona, and it works here. We don't have to shift across to pixel persona or anything. Okay, so we've got this. Starting off, we're going to go to effects layer, and we're going to click on 3D. Okay, so starting from the top, the radius is the amount of effect that takes place from the edge of the object that we selected. So if I push this all the way up here, you'll see that the effect takes place from the edge towards the inside. And I can even go beyond this. I can say 150, and you'll see this effect. It's not that obvious now. You'll see it when I make a few adjustments, then we'll come back to this point. Okay, so there we have an effect coming in towards the inside. This, as far as depth and soften is just when we're creating sharp edges, it can soften the object there, and we'll probably look at that if needs be just now. This is the opacity. It's the amount of effect that is visible. Remember, we're working with a 2D object, so what we are seeing is just this object, and we're creating the illusion of light coming from the sides, and that's the key of this particular effect. Kind of similar to bevel and emboss, but just taken it much to the next level as far as management of lighting and everything goes. So here is the key element that you need to remember. But even before I go there, I think this is one of the key things you must switch on: scale with object. What this means is that if you are busy with any object here, and after you've done what we are going to do and you size the object, if you don't click scale with object, this effect doesn't go with it, because remember, it takes the object size and it applies the effects to this specific size. But if you size the object after you've added the effect, the size of the effect might still stay static while the object goes, and then it gets all mixed up. Then it looks terrible. So key point here is when you're working with 3D effect here, click scale with object so that everything is proportionate when you shape it later. Okay, now if we go to profile, you've got to think of profile as from the left to the right. Now it's not really only from the left or right of the object. It's from the left edge towards where the effect ends. So technically it's from this top to where the effect ends, or from the right to where the effect ends, or from the bottom. So it's a kind of cross section of the edge. So the radius is from the edge to where whichever effect, the 3D effect stops. That is the width of this radius. And this is the shape. So let me show you further. If I click on this, it most likely from the edge to over here, it's going to create a flat plane like this, or like a steep hill. If I click there, okay, so we get that picture. It's coming from there to there. So this appears that this middle area is closer to us. Okay, and if I go here, you're going to see that from the left, it's going to kind of swoop up. Okay. So it's going to go from the bottom, swooping up, and it's round on top. If you look at this cross section here, this is exactly, although this is a little snapshot, you can see it more here. And the interesting thing is that you can move these nodes. If I grab this node and move it, look what happens in the picture. There's something's taking place there. Even from a point like this, look there, you're creating little levels. And this is all because you are moving these nodes, and it's a cross section of the side that's replicated all around. If we go here, you can see that similar thing. It's tapering from the bottom up to this edge here. Again, how far it is affected is when you move this, it will take it more towards the center. This will move it more towards the edge. So that's the amount where this effect comes in. Hopefully that is clear there. So this is where we're going to spend our time to create this unique edge for the photo frame. So if I click here, I'm going to just go to the start one here as a point of reference, and then make this slightly bigger so we can see a bit more of what we're working with. Okay. In this case here, I already have been working with a few designs, so I'm going to just give you the one that I use. You push this to the middle, push this down to the middle. In essence, what it's saying is on the left-hand side, we're pushing it up in the thickness of this hood that we're working with. You can see there's a slight gradient here because this is not totally up there, but if they are on the same level, we're basically pushing up the 3D effect in the 3D world. From the left is slightly lower than this one here. Whoa! Let me just get it back to its simple spot. Down to the middle there, and we take that up to the middle. So to create the photographic frame, you click in the middle here and click there and click there. So we have these nodes, and this one on, oh man, what's going on here? Something weird going on here. My mouse is just jumping all over the place. Okay, so let me place it there, let's see. So I'm going to push it up there, and this one, and there we've created basically a hooded frame. Isn't that cool? And if I want to put a photo in the middle here, this is too raised up here. I want a little offset that when it gets to this end, it's going to go back into the wood where the photo frame is going to fit. So going from the left, it's going up, it goes into this dip, and then it comes right up to this edge here. So just before this edge, I'm going to drop a node in, and then I'm going to pull this one on the edge right down and see what happens. So I've created this to come from the left. It goes up, down, and then it has a little ledge, and then it goes, if I zoom in, you'll see it goes up there and then a sharp down. And this is where the photo frame will end here. I could even move that a bit around or move it up, depending on what effect I'm looking for. Just put that across. There we go. They've got a nice sharp edge there where the photo will be. And that's pretty much how we get to do that. The radius is going to make this area that's so broad. If I want a thick frame, I can use it in that way. If I want a thinner frame, I just pull this to the side, because this means that the effect will be over a shorter area. But it has the same profile that we're using there. Okay, so again, if we look at this, a cross section of the edges goes up, down, goes up there, and then it's a sharp down because I want to drop in the photo there. Okay, I think it's probably significant that I just roughly go through these here so that you know what they're all about. It has a lot to do with the lighting over here. So diffuse is the lighting color, specular is this actual edge lighting, ambience is overall lighting. So if I go here and I make it brighter or more dull, shininess has to do with the shine, as it says. If you make it more shiny, it will get a bit too bright. So it's these little subtle nuances. The defaults tend to work quite well here. And then these specular colors, you can change them to appear, but then they affect the overall look of the actual object. Okay, light sources, again, I think we can leave that for a masterclass, because you can put multiple light sources in and choose the azimuth and elevation and all that. I think for the purpose of this, we work just with a single light source. If you look at this azimuth and elevation, change them a bit. The azimuth goes from 0 to 180, the elevation from 0 to 90, and elevation is how high the light is above this object. It's a simulation, of course. Azimuth is where it is kind of around the object. So if you fiddle with these, you'll get, optimal settings. When you add another light source, it gives you more settings. And yeah, like I said, masterclasses. If elevation drops down to say 10%, it's going to go darker, because the light is now at the bottom of this object in the simulated 3D world. If we go to say 65, it's going to be a bit brighter because it's shining from the top. Okay, so 45 is like the sweet spot in this particular design, and it creates these nice nuance, shadows, and indicates which direction the light comes from. You can also modify these by moving this little dot. So if I move the dot around the edge, that is the azimuth. I can move it a little bit to the center, and that will be, your elevation will be modified accordingly. So say I like that kind of feel. I want the shininess to be a little bit down, specular to be, yeah, maybe that would be great. So that's how we can do these modifications over here and get our photo frame going for us. Okay, if we want to drop in the photo here now, instead of trying to fit in a photo here and it's bigger than the particular frame and then having to crop and all that, what I do is I'll go in and I will drop a rectangle into this area. So I'll zoom in, choose that corner, and this is just a normal rectangle. I'll put it down here, and I'll know once it's positioned well that that's going to be the container for my picture. Then I don't have to worry about sizing different pictures that I bring in. So this, I'm just going to make sure that the stroke is transparent on the outside. I don't need that. So here we are. There's two different methods that you, actually probably more than two, that you can drop in an image that fits into this particular object that you are creating, this rectangular or square area. You could bring it in, place it in here, and drag it over the shape, the vector shape, and drag it to the right of it. Or you can do what I prefer doing. I'm going to click off here. I'll click the shape. I go to my menu and say insert inside the selection. And now I've activated that. Now I just go and get the object to place. Now if I go get the photo to place, say it's this photo, double click. Then if I want to preview it, I've done another tutorial to show you the preview, but you right click and it will preview and you can see where it goes. Okay, kind of go, okay, it's going to go there. Then from that point, I can left click and it will drop it, or I can just physically draw it from the top left. So I'm going to now click the left mouse button while holding the right mouse, and it will just drop it in there. And of course, I can reposition it like I want to. But there it's in that shape. And if you look over here, you'll see that this particular shape here, there's the image over there. Okay, it's placed it into that rectangular area or that square area. Now here's a really nice cool thing. So that we've done that frame with a 3D effect on a photo. Now I can click on that photo and I can say replace the image and put another texture in there if I wanted to. But look at this. If I select that frame with the 3D effects on it and I go to edit and I say copy, then I select another shape. In this case, I'm going to make this a photo album, not a photo album, but a photo frame. I go to edit and I say paste that effect here. Look at this. It's going to paste the effect right into this. Now this doesn't look as dramatic as one would want it to be, so I'm going to go Control Z, and before I place that effect on there, I'm going to drop another image in there. So again, I do the same, click there, and I'm going to go to Insert Inside Selection, File, Place, and I want to put the wooden frame over there. So then I draw the wooden frame there. Okay, now I select the ellipse again. I'm going to go select there, copy, select the ellipse, and I'm going to paste that effect not only onto that oval thing that I had now. I've now placed the pixel image inside it, which is this wood, and it will do it to the whole shape. So I paste effect, and there we go. Isn't that cool? I've just now created a wooden frame. And into that you can again get an oval like that, place in the photo that you place in, and position it in there. Or maybe I should just do that for completeness sake. So let me go there and just make this artboard a bit bigger. I'm going to go in here and duplicate this. Okay, and we have this. Let me see. Okay, I'm going to, into this shape here, I am going to put, actually I'm going to take this effect over here because I've cloned this effect. So I'm going to go in, disable this effect, and that's just wood. But the wood I'm going to replace with a picture that I want to put in there. It's going to be the same size, so I'll just make it a bit smaller. Okay, so I'm going to, oops, I forgot to go there. Click there, to insert in selection, then paste. Place I'm in. Let me go to the pictures, and there we go. Okay, it didn't do it that time. Maybe I should just do it the other way. I'm going to press Control X, and in the ellipse I'm going to click there, Control V. Okay, I've got both the wood and this, but that's fine for now. I just want to show you the process of getting a photo that's got a similar shape there. So if I take that, I'm going to move that across and just keep Control, Alt and Shift together and proportionately size it. I'm going to make it slightly smaller so I can see how I enlarge it in there. Okay, what I would do is select the photo and the outside and just align them so I can get them nice and centered to each other, and then I can keep Control, Shift and Alt and proportionately just, oops, no, I just need to resize the image on the inside. Here we go. That should be fine. Okay, I'm again, it's not going to be totally perfect here now. You can spend some time in repositioning and mastering. And then my final thing would be just take this, remove the stroke that by default is on there. What I usually do is I just go and drop the opacity, say to 95. And the reason for that is it just softens. It doesn't make it transparent to show the bottom, but it just softens that particular thing. You could go add effects on here that makes that the photo has a glass over and all that, but I think we'll leave it for another time. So here you can see this particular circular object, it's quite dark over here, so you've got to go in this case and probably go and modify the effect in that, but I'm not going to go down that route now. This is just to show you how you can create this frame edge kind of setup, okay, and it will apply to any object that you put together. I'm going to exit out with a different shape and see what it does there. So let's just do that. As far as the wood goes, we're going to go there. We are going to place some wood in there. Say we have wood in there. Now this is a more weird shape, but we're going to take this and say copy, and on there, and we're going to paste the effect. See what happens there. Okay, now that's a bit of an awkward looking one, but yeah, there we go. A circular one would also look very nice. Yeah, so hopefully you can fiddle around with that and get some lovely designs going. And of course, I think the important thing is a good texture, which in this case these ones aren't too good, and the lighting, you can just tone up the lighting. This is bothering me a bit. Let me just go in here and go and just get some of the lighting sorted out. That's much better. Let's maybe take some of the specular down and the shininess a little bit down. Yeah, but that adds a bit more lighting onto the thing rather than was the dark parts of the frame. Okay, so you see how one can go and correct it and so forth. But there we go. That's using your 3D to create these nice formatted shapes. And that looks like it belongs in that area. If you choose again a good texture, you can make it look really photorealistic. Just remember, if you want to create this that it looks like it's fitting on a wall or something, then onto the entire object you got to put drop shadows, etc., like that for the realism. If we shift back to this other one, I think I've dropped a bit of a drop shadow over here to give that kind of effect, and then, you know, softening edges and all the usual that goes with it. Cool. Be blessed, and hopefully your editing becomes a bit smoother for you going into the future. Have a fantastic day, and shalom to everybody.